Hi everyone, my name's Tamara Chambers, and this is Tamara's Never Seen. And today I'm keeping the good Cage times rolling with City of Angels. Last week on Twitter, I asked for some feel-good movie suggestions, and I got a lot of Raising Arizonas, so I watched that, but I also got a ton of City of Angels, and it also happens to be one of my mother's favorite films of all time. Nicolas Cage has enough movies where I could go on doing this weekly forever, so maybe that'll just be my thing. Hi, buddy. I saw a meme on Reddit recently. That was this chubby orange cat. The caption was, I called Pete on my mom because she called me a thickeroni with cheese. And I lost my mind. I've been laughing about it forever, and I call everyone a thickeroni with cheese now. And if you hear that from me, you know you're loved. All right, let's watch some Angel Cage. This is the most ridiculously cheesy film I've ever seen in my entire life. Ever. Ever? Yeah, I think ever. Right up front, we get the setup for the film. So he's in this hospital room and they're trying to save this young girl named Susan, and she has a really high fever and she's passing over, and that's what Nicolas Cage is there to do. He's an angel. He helps people pass over. When they're dying, he asks what their favorite thing was. She says pajamas, which is, you know, I think something that we would all say this year, probably. And it is a good setup to the movie. Then you realize that there's a ton of angels and they're all on Earth and they're all taking care of humans. I'm a little cloudy on that because they help people pass over to the next life, to heaven. But then they're also always touching people, and the people don't know they're there. The people can't see the angels unless the angels want them to see them. And that's like against the angel code book, I guess, but Nicolas Cage also, he breaks that so many times in this film. But they're always like behind them, like touching them and like putting their hands all over them, and to be honest, it's a little creepy. Also, there's a ton of them and they all look like Matrix characters. They all look like Keanu Reeves, I don't know their names, Nero, who knows? No one knows, right? That's the biggest mystery on Earth. What's the main guy's name in the Matrix? They all look like they're from the Matrix. I wrote that they're Matrix angels, and that's just a takeaway I got from the film. I have nothing else to say about it other than it's weird to see a bunch of people dressed like the Matrix characters on the beach. Then you see Meg Ryan. She's a doctor. She's really cool and hip. She bikes to work and she's very confident in her field until a man that she's trying to save from, I think he's having some type of heart attack. Something's going wrong. Something's amiss. And he passes away. And when she has to tell the family, it's really sad. That family was incredible at acting. It was a mom and a daughter mostly, and then there was a son. And it was so sad and so believable. And oh man, it made me bummed out. And then she really loses her nerve and loses her confidence in her job as a doctor. And she's like, if I'm not in control of this, who's in control of this? Why am I even here? Kind of things. Those are the questions that start popping up in her head. It's understandable, and I totally get that, and I understand the line of thought there and like where they were trying to bring us along, but kind of hearing her say it out loud just felt a little on the nose because we know that Nicolas Cage is an angel. So it just kind of feels a little dramatic and cheesy. It feels cheesy. There is one scene though where she's breaking down in a stairwell and Nicolas Cage is right in front of her as the angel so she can't see him. And that, just thinking about that as an actor, that must have been the weirdest scene to film because she is really giving it her all. She's doing a great job in this scene and she's crying and she's breaking down, and it's gotta be weird to have then Nicolas Cage there with his like Nicolas Cage face just being like, then he lets her see him. He's just going crazy. He loves this woman already. It's very cute to see innocent Angel Cage just head over heels for Meg Ryan. And he's in the hospital and she's like, are you a visitor? And he's like, yes. And she's like, well, who are you visiting? Visitor hours are over. And he's like, I'm visiting you. And I'm like, that's too much. That's too much. At that moment, I'd be like, well, I have pepper spray. He's like, I'm here to visit you. He's like, are you in despair? And then the next thing out of her mouth is that she lost a patient or that she killed a patient, something like that. And it felt like she really settled into that too fast. But you could argue that he's an angel and like maybe maybe I was too preoccupied with the cheesiness of it to really understand that, like, he's affecting her in a way that she's never felt seen before, or like he was really like loving in this part. I wrote later, there's one Nicolas Cage freak out in this movie, and it's very tame comparatively to some of his others, but he's very even keel in this movie. And really sweet. Like he plays a really, really sweet character. But she takes it like hook, line, and sinker. She wants his number. She's thinking about him, like in her bathtub at night with a beer. And then we see that he's there, and he's like physically like ill. Like he's like, this is crazy. Like, I love this woman, but like he's there with her, and it's too much. It's like, I love that you love her. I love your love. But you cannot be there when I'm having intimate moments and intimate thoughts in the bathtub, and I'm thinking about you, unless I invite you. And that's its own thing. That's fun. So he leaves a book at her home, and she goes to the library to return it. Apparently angels live in libraries. All the other angels there are like, bro, what the hell? They don't say anything, but they're all watching him talk to this human and show himself to this human. So he's like, let's get out of here and do something. She's like, yeah, cool, I'll go with this strange man. Let's do it. They go off, they go shopping for fruit, and she gives him the shopping basket, and he's holding the basket. And my whole thought that for the whole scene is like, does everyone else just see like a floating basket? What are people seeing right now? They're becoming closer. He's definitely piquing her interest, and she's so much more intrigued by him than her, I guess, boyfriend. It's kind of like they're friends with benefits, but they are dating. They're going on dates. I don't know. He has the keys to her home. He wants to go to Tahoe with her. That's about as much as you get from the relationship. But she's very, very, very intrigued by Nicolas Cage, and she's just kind of with this other guy who's not a bad guy. He just doesn't really pique her interest. Then we get something that I was not expecting in the film, and we have this other patient of hers, and his name is Nathan, and he's having, again, something in his body is having surgery. He's like, I know you're there. I can't see you, but I know you're there, talking to Cage. And so Cage is like, how do you know that I'm there? Turns out this guy is a fallen angel. He chose to become mortal because he fell in love with his wife years back, and now he has kids and grandkids. And we then all know that that is what is going to happen, but then it's that thing where it just lingers on and lingers on and lingers on. We're waiting for the thing to happen. She's a bit confused because they kiss and he doesn't feel it, and she feels amazing after it, and she's like, I think I love this man. She's like, did you feel that? Just speaking about the kiss. And he's like, actually, nah, bro, I can't feel anything. And she just thinks that he's like not into it, or maybe he's married or something. And then she sees that he didn't show up in a photo, and then she's like, something's amiss here, something's going real wrong. So then she brings him back to his house, and she's like, cut up this lettuce, and she sees that he kind of nicks his hand, but no blood comes out. So she goes and cuts his hand. It's very aggressive. And then she sees that it's not bleeding or anything, and he's like, well, I'm an angel. Surprise! She's super upset though, because she's been questioning all these things at her work, and questioning like if there's this higher power. She doesn't quite believe in that, and so she is just, it's too much for her to handle. So he leaves, and then they don't see each other for a while, and then she finds out that he can turn human. And then she decides that she's going to tell him that she doesn't want him to turn human because he's too beautiful. He's Angel Cage. And so she's like, I'm going to marry Jordan. Because, right, Jordan asks her to marry him. So that's where we're at. Oh my gosh, but in that scene, the biggest laugh of the movie, I only got 2 laughs out of the movie, and both of them were from the same exact joke. She's like, what's your last name? And he's like, you know my last name. And she's like, no, I don't. He looks up at a plate and he goes, Plate. She's like, Seth Plate? Really, bitch, really. I guess how you become mortal is you jump off of a skyscraper. He jumps off of a skyscraper, he lands, he's bleeding, and he's like stoked because he's in a ton of pain and he can feel stuff. He's like, this is blood, it's amazing. He shows up at her door and he's all beaten up, and then she like dresses his wounds. He's like, am I too late? She's like, well, I couldn't marry Jordan, I'm in love with you. He's like, well, great. And then we get, well, I'll read what I said. Okay. He feels her, and it gets steamy, folks. It is almost uncomfortable to watch because they are really, it is hot and heavy, guys. It's his first time having sex and his first time being intimate with someone, and it is intense to watch. Nicolas Cage is that intense kind of actor attractive, where he's not conventionally, he's not like a Brad Pitt or a George Clooney. He's a different, but it's his intensity that is just like always there, that is very, very appealing. And this scene was so interesting to watch. I should text my mother about it and be like, I can see why you love this film. Then in the morning they wake up and he's like, this is my favorite part about living. I used to ask that to all the people who crossed over, but this is my favorite part. She's like, we have our whole lives to discover more things as Mr. and Mrs. Plate. That also got a laugh out of me. That was cute. But then that line was so ominous. And then I paused to see how much time was left, and there was still like 25 minutes, and I was like, okay, well, one of them's gonna die. What in the giant hell is this? And I was hoping it wasn't true, but it was true. How dare you tell me this is a feel-good movie? What are you freaking talking? We just spent 2 hours trying to get these two fuckers to get together, for him to fall from grace and to kiss this woman. 2 hours. And one of them is gonna die? I thought it was gonna be him. And then I was like, oh no, she's riding on her bike without a care in the world. And she bought him a pear? Okay, she's dead. Maggie's dead. Yep, so she gets hit by a car. Hated it. Absolutely hated that part. Was not into it. It just felt very cruel. Like the filmmaking here felt cruel. Because we are in a world where we know that there's angels who actively help. And was somebody busy at the time? Was that really the time that she was supposed to go? Really, was that the time? Why? It was like 5 minutes in. Like they had sex once. And it did look amazing, but that's not the point. Now he's a freaking human. He doesn't have Maggie and he's a human? Shit sucks. Then the part that really made me lose my cool and start crying is he goes into the same place where they went shopping and she bought a pear and he was holding the basket but no one else could see him, so I assumed they were seeing someone with a floating basket. And he buys a ton of pears. He just goes up and he grabs one pear and then he like just kind of loses his shit and he starts picking up a ton of pears and putting them in the basket, and that made me cry. That was really good. He's such a great actor. And then he goes and he eats the pear. And he goes and he swims in the ocean. I mean, am I the only one demanding a sequel from this movie? Second chance for love. I don't know how they would have ended it if she hadn't. Because then it wouldn't have been dramatic. She just would have been happy, which, God forbid. Good Lord. They should have got a dog together and just, oh, she had a dog. Their lives were perfect. Oh my freaking God, I didn't even ask for predictions. I finished the movie and just went straight into filming. Was like, no, I have to speak on this. I did enjoy this for what it was. I enjoyed this for a cheesy sop fest. It was hard to watch for sure, especially when I knew that it was coming and then it came and I was so disappointed. Oh man, that is what she said. Thank you so much for watching. I might just keep up with Nicolas Cage movies. Maybe tell me what your favorite Nicolas Cage movie is in the comments and I'll read through those and I'll pick my favorites. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all next week. Bye! In the arms of an angel. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, bye.